Chapter 12:11, Stepping into Southern Border. Chapter 12:11, Stepping into Southern Border. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Wind was blowing around him. The grassland below was rapidly moving in Fang Yuan's vision as he flew past it. After more than 10 days of traveling, the huge green regional wall appeared in front of Fang Yuan. Suddenly, Fang Yuan's expression changed. He sensed that Dark Limit Immortal Gu's power was rapidly weakening. Someone is deducing about me again. Fang Yuan realized. He quickly used Dark Limit Immortal Gu, resisting the deduction's power. Fang Yuan had already encountered this problem many times. Recently, Fang Yuan killed Yi Lui Kun Xing and plundered 2 resource points of Lu tribe. Not only did he empty them out, he even killed a rank 6 enslavement path Gu immortal, Lu Yong. Thus, while Fang Yuan was leaving Northern Plains, he encountered many deductions about himself. The frequency was much higher than before. Thankfully, Fang Yuan had Wisdom Path Grandmaster attainment level, and also Dark Limit Immortal Gu to defend himself. But Dark Limit Immortal Gu had a flaw: every time it was activated, it would need to rest for a long time before it could be used again. Fang Yuan needed to consider this point, and avoid a situation where he had to use Dark Limit Immortal Gu but it was not ready for use. Nurture, use, refinement. The mastery of Gu was deep and profound. There were many things to take note of depending on different Gu worms. Lu tribe. 3 Lu tribe Gu immortals were in the Gu formation, consuming their immortal essence as they maintained the operations of the Gu formation. A moment later, the Gu formation stopped. The 3 Gu immortals took their rest. Failed again. Outside the Gu formation, rank 7 light path expert Lu Chang shifted his feet as he spoke in a disappointed tone. We have failed Lord Lu Chang's request. We are extremely ashamed. The 3 Lu tribe Gu immortals sighed as they lowered their heads, having ugly expressions. Lu Chang snorted coldly, looking at the 3 immortals unhappily, but his tone had calmed down. Forget it, our Lu tribe do not have any Wisdom Path Gu immortals. This Gu formation can only achieve the effects of a Wisdom Path deduction. I will go and find Xianxia Xian for help now. Pardon me for saying this, Lord Lu Chang, but we failed to deduce it not because our formation is weak, but because the enemy has very strong defensive methods that prevent others from making deductions about him. The leader of the 3 Gu immortals said. That is the case. Lu Chang's expression became darker. He muttered to himself, the other party is a transformation path Gu immortal specialized in ancient sword dragon transformation. How can he have such methods? But who knows, transformation path is said to project all paths. But the higher possibility is that this demon Lu Guan Yi has helpers. Domination immortal Chu Du, even though he expelled Lu Guan Yi, I do not believe that he would do nothing. These demonic path or lone immortals are nothing good. Saying this, Lu Chang gritted his teeth, his expression became ruthless. Lu Guan Yi plundered 2 of Lu tribe's important resource points, and even killed a Gu immortal from Lu tribe. How could they take this lying down? Lu Chang was ordered to kill Lu Guan Yi, but after so many days, he had not made any progress. Earlier, for his sister's safety, he did not chase after Fang Yuan. This matter caused a bad reaction in the tribe. Right now Lu Chang was enduring huge pressure. He wanted to find Fang Yuan at this very moment. Lu Guan Yi, you coward, where are you? Lu Chang felt extremely stifled. He had no idea that he was going to be even more stifled from now on. Because Fang Yuan had already left Northern Plains, going to other regions. Yi Lui tribe was similarly as troubled as Lu Chang. Yi Lui Kun Xing died at Fang Yuan's hands. Yi Lui tribe was definitely going to seek revenge. And now, Fang Yuan was expelled from Chu sect. Yi Lui tribe immediately took action to investigate and pursue Fang Yuan. The Gu immortals that they sent were not weaker than Lu Chang. Unfortunately, Fang Yuan had already left Northern Plains. Fang Yuan successfully passed the Licorice Regional Wall. This mystical regional wall that surrounded Northern Plains was filled with green fog. Grass was growing wildly in the fog and was constantly twining and twisting, like a sea of snakes or hair. Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture could pass through without any obstruction. After passing the Licorice Regional Wall, Fang Yuan got into the Blue Water Regional Wall of Eastern Sea. When he passed the Blue Water Regional Wall and reached Eastern Sea, his aura had completely changed. It was that of an Eastern Sea Gu immortal. This was one of the special attributes of the sovereign immortal body. Everywhere Fang Yuan went, he would perfectly integrate into the environment, like he was born and bred there. It was unlike other Gu immortals, their external region aura was very obvious. Undergoing tribulation was also very troublesome. They had to return to their region to do it, otherwise, taking in another region's heaven and earth chi would cause a lot of problems. After entering Eastern Sea, Fang Yuan did not travel in a rush. He went to Qinyu Blessed Land and rested for a while. This blessed land was left by Gu immortal Lu Qinyu. After Fang Yuan killed him, the Duck Land spirit was successfully controlled by Fang Yuan. Meeting Fang Yuan again, the Duck Land spirit was excited, it quacked and jumped up and down. Fang Yuan said comforting words to it as the Duck Land spirit shed tears of joy, quack quack. I knew that Master did not abandon me. Sadly, Fang Yuan's attainment level was too low, he could not annex this rank 7 blessed land. Fang Yuan rested for a while, waiting for Dark Limit Immortal Gu to recover. Because this blessed land was a small world, during this period, anyone who deduced things about Fang Yuan would fail, it would not expend Dark Limit Immortal Gu's power. By the time Dark Limit Immortal Gu could be used again, Fang Yuan did not hesitate to use it on himself. After this replenishment, Fang Yuan left Qinyu Blessed Land, going to the turbulent Flow Sea area. The troublesome path in the chaotic currents wasted multiple days, but he eventually got into City Well. There were many immortal apertures inside City Well. Fang Yuan used the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle, entering and annexing a portion of the Blessed Lands. Fang Yuan progressed by 2 calamities and tribulations again, the effect was not good. The remaining immortal apertures were mostly water path, but Fang Yuan's water path attainment level was just ordinary. After leaving, Fang Yuan did not rush ahead once again. He went to Qinyu Blessed Land and waited for Dark Limit Immortal Gu to recover before leaving for his destination. After leaving Northern Plains and going to Eastern Sea, the deductions from Northern Plains became extremely weak. Each deduction expended less of Dark Limit's concealment power. Fang Yuan was much different from before now. Not only was he aware about Heaven's will, he knew how to guard against it, he even had Dark Limit Immortal Gu and many wisdom path methods to protect himself. Of course, most importantly, his cultivation level and battle strength had risen greatly as well. Compared to the time after the Battle of Tian Mountain, when Fang Yuan went from southern border to northern plains, there was an evident contrast. Right now, if Fang Yuan met a group of ancient cloud beasts, he would not be chased around, the ones in danger would not be Fang Yuan but the ancient cloud beasts instead. Thinking about it, Fang Yuan felt deeply. After gaining the sovereign immortal body, his cultivation level was rising at a shocking speed. It was worthy of the ultimate product created by Spectral Soul, Shadow Sect, and Zombie Alliance, after spending 100,000 years of time and effort. Of course, the stronger the sovereign immortal body, the greater the enmity between Fang Yuan and Shadow Sect was. This irreconcilable feud made Fang Yuan deeply concerned about Ing Wuxia and the rest. Unfortunately, Ing Wuxia and the others were crafty, Fang Yuan could not find their locations. Otherwise, he would rather give up on the annexing of blessed lands and get rid of these threats first. Tens of days later, Fang Yuan finally got through Eastern Sea's Blue Water Regional Wall, and Southern Border's Miasma Regional Wall, officially stepping into Southern Border. Interestingly, be it Fang Yuan or Ing Wuxia, they did not know that the other party was in the same region. I have heard long ago that the location of Tian Mountain has been sealed with a huge defensive Gu formation made by the Righteous Path Gu Immortals together. I should go and check out the situation first. Fang Yuan had no idea how to enter the giant dream realm now. He decided to gather intelligence first. He flew southwest. The flying journey was filled with lots of detours, of course. Considering Heaven's will, if Fang Yuan flew straight, that would be giving Heaven's will a chance to set up trouble. Someone is deducing about me? While flying, Fang Yuan felt Dark Limit Immortal Gu's power weakening and found it laughable. Southern Border, Northern Plains, they were separated by 2 regional walls, Fang Yuan's danger of being deduced was extremely low. As expected, in Northern Plains Myriad Bean Garden, Gu Immortal Xianxia Xin returned half of the payment to Lu Chang. Lu Chang had an ugly expression and disbelief in his eyes. What? Even you could not deduce it? Wisdom Path Gu Immortal Xianxia Xin smiled bitterly. Wisdom path deductions are not all powerful. I have tried my best, I am deeply sorry. Lu Chang flew away from Myriad Bean Garden at a slow speed. He was very troubled. And very lost. If the current number 1 wisdom path Gu Immortal in Northern Plains, Xianxia Xin, could not deduce Lu Guanyi's location, who could? Lu Guanyi, you had better pray that you never bump into me ever. Lu Chang swore. He had deep killing intent in his icy cold eyes. No matter how deep his killing intent was, Fang Yuan was living a good life. Oh, they stopped deducing. When these people pay an even bigger price and obtain no results, they should stop. Fang Yuan laughed. Northern Plains, Snowy Mountain. Ma Hongyun looked at Lady Wan Shou, who was approaching, as he stared angrily. Go ahead, you vicious woman. Lady Wan Shou snickered. She pressed the lightning ball into Ma Hongyun's chest. Crack, crack, crack. Ma Hongyun's body trembled intensely. He was emitting smoke due to the lightning. Guh. Lady Wan Shou spit out a mouthful of blood. She had a pale expression. Why did I fail again? Her eyes were blood red. After failing so many times, her elegant demeanor was gone. Ma Hongyun forced himself to stay conscious. He said weakly, how would I know? I don't want it to fail. Just succeed. If you succeed once, I'll die. Death will end it. I will not undergo such torture again. Saying so, Ma Hongyun could not stay awake anymore. His eyes revolved backwards as he fainted. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1212, Burning Soul Bursting Luck. Chapter 1212, Burning Soul Bursting Luck. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Chirp chirp. A yellow-haired female monkey pranced around, running towards Fang Yuan with nimble steps. The yellow-haired monkey stood in front of Fang Yuan, offering its peach to Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan received it wordlessly, before tossing it below the tree. The female monkey was shocked. It waved its arms as it jumped around Fang Yuan. It yelled and caused the branch that Fang Yuan was standing on to shake. The leaves were rustling as some fell to the ground. Fang Yuan covered his face with his hands, sighing as he lowered his head. The female monkey approached Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan kicked, sending the monkey down the tree. The female monkey fell off the tree. It gritted its teeth in pain, looking at Fang Yuan on the tree. The attraction in its eyes turned into fear. It quickly escaped while limping. Fang Yuan's appearance now had changed. His entire figure had turned from a human to a male monkey. Precisely so, he attracted the affection of that female monkey. This was the peak of a nameless mountain. Fang Yuan came here, disguised as a monkey. He had been here for half a month already. He concealed his identity. His focus was on observing the Super Gu formation. That's right, in front of him was the Super Dream Realm. Unfortunately, the giant dream realm was completely concealed by the righteous path's Gu formation. With the naked eye, one could only see the scene of a verdant green mountain. Even if Fang Yuan used his methods, he could only see past the surface. The inside of the Gu formation was still very blurry. Unfortunately, my strongest investigative method is 3 breaths future vision. It cannot deal with this Super Gu formation. There must be many immortal Gu inside this Super Gu formation. The one who arranged this Gu formation is Qi clan's first supreme elder, Qi Chuyu. This person is a formation path great grandmaster. The strongest immortal Gu formation he has ever made is called 3-Tune-9 Pool formation. His Qi clan descendant Gu immortals had used this formation during the 5 regions chaotic war and killed many central continent Gu immortals. This formation was made during Qi Chuyu's later years. He is still far from dying now. But maybe I can deduce it from this super Gu formation in front of me. It has the style of 329 pool formation, formations inside formations, overlapping in layers. Right now this Gu formation has only used a portion of its power, it has not even activated immortal Gu, after all, that would consume immortal essence. Even so, with my observations these last days, just I alone cannot destroy a Gu formation of this level. Not to mention that inside, there are at least 13 righteous path Gu immortals. There were 13 super forces in Southern Border's righteous path. The super Gu formation here was made through everyone's efforts. To defend their own interests, each clan had sent at least one Gu immortal to defend it. These Gu immortals were elites of their own clans, otherwise, they would not be able to control the situation. The defense is too tight. If I want to get in, and use Unravel Dream, forcing my way through is impossible, I need to plan wisely. Fang Yuan shook his head internally. But what plan should he use, Fang Yuan did not know. There were no clear options. Because this problem involved the entire Southern Border righteous path. These righteous path forces had worked together, they were united, their distribution of benefits was also very reasonable. Fang Yuan was all alone, even though he had rank 7 cultivation level, against such a huge force, there was nothing he could do. These righteous path forces could stay in power until today and dominate most of Southern Border's cultivation resources, there was a good reason for it. Like before, Fang Yuan attempted to disrupt Northern Plains, in the end, the righteous path forces and Chu Du resisted him. Fang Yuan had been reborn, but because of heaven's will, the advantage of his rebirth was quite small. Most crucially, this giant dream realm also had Gu formations that were not used in his previous life. Thus, Fang Yuan's understanding of it was minimal. What should I do? Fang Yuan was troubled. Bai Ningbing, who was inside Bai Xiang Grotto Heaven, stared at the land spirit with an equally troubled feeling. I broke through the 30 halls and cut down all my obstacles, I finally met you but you refused to acknowledge me as your master. Bai Ningbing stared at Bai Xiang Heavenly Spirit, he had an icy expression. Bai Xiang Heavenly Spirit was an old man. He smoked his cigar as he sat on the steps, he looked at Bai Ningbing and breathed in deeply, before puffing out deeply. Oh, young people these days, they are so hasty. When you came here, I said that if you get through the 30 halls, I will meet you. I did not say that I will acknowledge you as master. Getting here just means that you have the initial qualifications to accept the following test. What is the following test? Bai Ningbing asked coldly. Bring back an immortal material. Bai Xiang Heavenly Spirit looked at Bai Ningbing, chuckling with a creepy look. What immortal material, where? Bai Ningbing asked. Do you see that hole at the top of the hall? Bai Xiang Heavenly Spirit pointed up and said. I saw it the moment I came here, it is too eye-catching. Bai Ningbing said plainly. Bai Xiang Heavenly Spirit sighed again, the greatest use of this immortal Gu house, 30 heavenly halls, is to store large amounts of immortal materials. But a few thousand years ago, one immortal material at the highest layer broke through the ceiling and flew away. What? Bai Ningbing was surprised. Don't look so shocked, young man, this world is huge beyond your imagination. The profundities of all life forms, you will encounter it in the future, and feel for yourself the grandness of heaven and earth. Bai Xiang Heavenly Spirit sighed. Stop prattling, get to the point. Bai Ningbing interrupted mercilessly. Oh. Youngster, you have no patience, listening to an old man's words is good for you. Bai Xiang Heavenly Spirit sighed. Bai Ningbing was silent, only staring at Bai Xiang Heavenly Spirit with his blue eyes. Bai Xiang Heavenly Spirit smoked another puff as he said, all right, I'll tell you. I want you to subdue that flame. It is hidden deep in the sea to the west. Normally, you cannot find it because it can fuse with sea water completely, but once in a while, it will float to the surface and frolic around. That is your best chance to catch it. Bai Ningbing followed Bai Xiang Heavenly Spirit's guidance, arriving at the western coastline. The sea was wide and vast, there were many waves on the surface, it was a magnificent sight. Bai Ningbing had hidden here for more than 10 days, he finally found the chance that Bai Xiang Heavenly Spirit had mentioned. Swish swish swish. Countless waves appeared on the surface of the sea, causing tides that were more than 100 feet tall to form. The calm and silent sea had at this moment turned into a roaring brute. The sea was fierce and magnificent. Bai Ningbing, who was witnessing this for the first time, had deep emotions seeing it. Next, he flew to the sky, seeing that immortal material which Bai Xiang heavenly spirit was talking about. It was a small lump of flames. The flames were orange-yellow, round and the size of an adult's fist. It burned and emitted light. It formed into the shape of a flying dragon as the orange flames continued to fly around randomly. Bai Ningbing, who was usually expressionless, showed shock on his face. Light of Tao marks, and so lively, this is a rank 9 immortal material. Rank 9 immortal materials were extremely rare. They were special materials in the world that could refine rank 9 immortal Gu. Bai Ningbing did not expect that Bai Xiang heavenly spirit was asking him to retrieve a rank 9 immortal material. This was out of his capabilities. Bai Ningbing had to take a risk and use the immortal Gu inside him to activate a special method, communicating with Xianxia outside. Didn't I tell you not to contact me? If Bai Xiang heavenly spirit finds out, it will be troublesome. Xianxia said. I encountered trouble. I need to retrieve a rank 9 immortal material. It is a lump of orange-yellow flames. Hearing Bai Ningbing's thorough description, Xianxia's expression changed. You say that the light from its Tao marks resemble flying dragons? The surrounding seawater is rushing outwards, as if it is afraid of this fire? That is indeed so. Around the fire, there is a huge empty space without any water in it. I can see the water level at the bottom of this. The empty space is still continuing to expand. Bai Ningbing added. Xianxia's expression changed again. His answer this time was a little shaky. You must have read the legends of Renzu. Recorded inside were the 3 unique flames of heaven, earth, and human respectively. This is the human flame, raging wave rising dragon fire. Raging wave rising dragon fire. Bai Ningbing heard this answer and became tongue-tied. After a short pause, Bai Ningbing asked, then what should I do? Xianxia sighed, it is very hard. With your cultivation level, there is almost no hope in subduing wild flames. However, this flame is not wild, it was once subdued by Bai Xiang. There is some chance. I have 3 methods for you, you can try them all. How big are my chances? Bai Ningbing asked. Xianxia smiled bitterly, I am not sure. They all have a possibility of success, but the chances are slim. It will depend on your luck. Both of them conversed in a short time. In order to avoid getting caught, Xianxia was the first to cut the connection. Xianxia was not optimistic. His thoughts were shrouded in darkness. The human flame among the 3 flames of heaven, earth and human. I am afraid only my main body after revival can have high hopes in succeeding. It seems that I need to help Bai Ningbing. If he fails, it will be troublesome for my future plans. Xianxia decided to do something. Even though he was far away from Bai Ningbing, the latter was in Bai Xiang Grotto Heaven and was under the surveillance of Bai Xiang Heavenly Spirit. Xianxia had many methods to help Bai Ningbing. First, there was luck. Xianxia's immortal killer move, Burning Soul Bursting Luck. He used this killer move again. The last time he used it was in the Super Gu formation inside Central Continent's Earth Abyss. Back then, Xianxia planned to refine fixed immortal travel. He burned his own soul to raise his luck sharply. Eventually, his Gu refinement still failed. But this was because Heavenly Court had already refined fixed immortal travel before him. Immortal Gu were unique. Even if his luck was overwhelming, Xianxia could not refine a second fixed immortal travel in this world. Before Bai Ningbing set off, Xianxia had already used Connect Luck Immortal Gu to tie their luck together. Right now, Bai Ningbing was trying to subdue the rank 9 immortal material Raging Wave Rising Dragon Fire. He could not avoid this. Xianxia could only use luck to help Bai Ningbing. On the other hand, near the giant dream realm. Oh! Something's happening. Fang Yuan, who had turned into a monkey, quickly hid behind the branches. 2 Gu immortals appeared, standing below the tree Fang Yuan was in. The peach that Fang Yuan had thrown out earlier was by the feet of a Gu immortal. Brother Luo, thank you for this. A Gu immortal said. I can bring you in. but if anything happens and you get discovered, it has nothing to do with me. The other Gu immortal replied. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 12:13, Immortal Opportunity Business. Chapter 12:13, Immortal Opportunity Business. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. What? Hearing the conversation of the two Gu immortals, Fang Yuan's ears stood up. He jumped out of the tree, landing above the two Gu immortals as he hung himself on the branch. It was a normal reaction for the type of monkey that Fang Yuan had transformed into to behave curiously like this. The two Gu immortals did not even raise their heads. But Fang Yuan was well aware that these two Gu immortals had already activated their investigative methods. They also found Fang Yuan. But Fang Yuan's familiar face was a rank 8 immortal killer move. It was beyond their methods. The two immortals had no suspicions. They continued talking. One of them said, "Brother Luo, don't worry, I also gained interest after hearing Lady White Rabbit's words. I want to interact with the rumored dream realm, and test the opportunity for myself. Even though I, Jiao Lei Zi, am a mere lone cultivator, I hold my promises. Since I promised you and made an information path agreement, I would not do something out of line. Precisely because of your reputation, Jiao Lei Zi, us brothers agreed to meet you. Otherwise, you would not even see our shadows. Follow me. When you enter the formation, say that you are a member of Luo clan, and are here to bring an immortal Gu to my brother." The Luo clan Gu immortal walked as he explained. At the side, lone cultivator Jiao Lei Zi was following after him, listening attentively. Fang Yuan sat on the branch as he watched them leave. He even followed them, brazenly jumping from tree to tree. Only after the two Gu immortals vanished did he stop moving. He looked around, screeching in confusion. His disguise was extremely convincing, displaying the might of a transformation path grandmaster. From start to finish, these two Gu immortals had no suspicions. Interesting. Fang Yuan went back to the trees, his eyes bright as excitement rose in him. He had accidentally encountered two Gu immortals' secret deal. These two had coincidentally chosen this mountain peak to meet, and right in front of Fang Yuan as well. This luck was amazing. Hearing their conversation, evidently, a righteous path Gu immortal who was part of the defensive Gu formation had gone ahead and done a secret deal with the lone cultivator Gu immortal, Jiao Lei Zi. The righteous path Gu immortal led the way for Jiao Lei Zi, letting him enter the defensive Gu formation and find his own opportunity. Fang Yuan scoffed at Jiao Lei Zi's idea. You really think the dream realm is this easy to interact with? Opportunity? Without specialized dream path methods, what opportunities can there be? And that righteous path Gu immortal called himself Luo. He must be from the super force Luo clan. Southern Border's righteous path had 13 super forces. They had their respective territories in the entire region. Luo clan was one of them. Can I use this chance to get into the defensive Gu formation and interact with the dream realm? Unavoidably, Fang Yuan had such a thought. He took a final glance at the formation before leaving. The monkey that Fang Yuan had turned into jumped from tree to tree, climbing mountain cliffs, and continuing to travel. After half a day, he finally left the original mountain. Continuing on and getting past some mountain peaks, Fang Yuan got rid of his transformation and returned to normal. He had a vigilant nature. If he used an immortal killer move close to the super Gu formation, he might draw the attention and wariness of the righteous path Gu immortals. This distance should be safe. Fang Yuan estimated internally. He was not certain, because he had no understanding of this super Gu formation. However, even if the righteous path Gu immortals found his traces, there were no issues. I do not believe that after the righteous path super forces made this super Gu formation, the demonic path and lone immortals did not come to probe it. Fang Yuan guessed correctly. The battle of Tian Mountain was like a ball of lightning. From the calm lake that was Southern Border's Gu immortal world, it caused a massive tide that has risen with ferocity. The battle of Tian Mountain, it involved the immortal Gu house graceful chaotic duel stage. All the major forces in Southern Border and countless Gu immortals paid attention to it. Later on, the righteous demonic battle also affected the whole of southern borders Gu immortal world. But eventually, that huge battle at Tian Mountain destroyed everything, all of the Gu immortals that were involved died. And in place of them at Tian Mountain, there was a gigantic dream realm that manifested out of nowhere. This made the southern border Gu immortals unable to even investigate Tian Mountain. The parties involved, Shadow Sect, Heavenly Court, and Fang Yuan, were keeping very quiet about it. These southern border Gu immortals were all kept in the dark. Ever since the righteous path went ahead to encircle the giant dream realm, and created this super Gu formation, the demonic path and lone immortals were very unwilling to give in. Many of them wanted to investigate this Gu formation. The righteous path Gu immortals often found traces of these people, but as long as they did not charge into the Gu formation, they turned a blind eye. Fang Yuan chose an ordinary mountain cave and stayed for a few days. He waited for Jiao Lei to leave the defensive Gu formation. Jiao Lei's movement was not concealed, he left on the same way as he went in. Since Jiao Lei disguised as a Luo clan Gu immortal, when he left, he had to be open and nonchalant, otherwise, it would be suspicious. Fang Yuan stared fixedly at Jiao Lei, seeing him fly away. Fang Yuan followed after him closely. The two flew for a while. Jiao Lei's speed suddenly slowed down, he stopped at the peak of a nameless mountain. He turned around and looked at Fang Yuan. "Friend, you have been following me for so long, is anything the matter?" Jiao Lei did not have a confrontational attitude. Because Fang Yuan had purposely revealed his traces to Jiao Lei when following him. He also used attitude Gu to express his goodwill. Jiao Lei could sense it. Jiao Lei thus did not speak to Fang Yuan in a bad tone, but he was still very guarded. "I am truly sorry for troubling you," Fang Yuan greeted as he expressed his intention politely. Jiao Lei heard Fang Yuan's following words and his expression soothed. The reason was, Fang Yuan called himself a wandering lone cultivator. He was curious about the dream realm. But he had heard that Jiao Lei had a way to bribe the righteous path Gu immortals and get inside the defensive Gu formation, to personally interact with the dream realm. He wanted to see if he could find any opportunities. Fang Yuan thus waited outside for a long time, only following Jiao Lei after he came out. "So news have already spread, even an outsider like you has obtained information about it." Jiao Lei was not suspicious, he smiled helplessly. "Come with me, it is normal that you want to enter the dream realm to find your immortal opportunity. However, I am not a key middleman, I will bring you to Lady White Rabbit." Jiao Lei was very enthusiastic. He might not know Fang Yuan, but his southern border Gu immortal aura could not be false. Furthermore, southern border was the region with the most secluded cultivators in the 5 regions. This was southern border's trait. Many Gu immortals would not be known by people from the time of their ascension until their death. With less than a day's journey, Fang Yuan met with Lady White Rabbit thanks to Jiao Lei. This female Gu immortal had the appearance of a woman in her 20s, her eyes were red like rubies, she had a cute round face and shiny big eyes. Her lips were lush, she spoke very quickly, words came out of her mouth like firing a Gatling gun. The scene of meeting with Lady White Rabbit made Fang Yuan quite surprised. Because this Lady White Rabbit directly placed a mortal Gu house at a mountain peak, many demonic path and lone immortals were entering and exiting this house. "We only do dream realm business here, you came to the right place. If you want to enter the dream realm, I have many reliable ways, it will depend on what price you can pay. The bigger the price you pay, the faster you can enter the dream realm, perhaps you might be able to find your own immortal opportunity." Lady White Rabbit said this as she pointed her thumb at the wall behind her while facing Fang Yuan. There were all sorts of small boards there, people's names were written there. "There are 5 more people in queue." Jiao Lei saw this and sighed. "You must know the importance of the immortal opportunity." Lady White Rabbit stared at Fang Yuan as she spoke, listing many examples in history before she added, "The prophecy of 3 venerables, you must know about it. Dream realm, this is the immortal opportunity that concerns Great Dream Immortal Venerable. Think about it, if you can become Great Dream Immortal Venerable in the future, what would happen? Even if you only get one small opportunity, your situation will change. If you do not try this, how would you know if you are able to succeed?" That's right. Even if you know you cannot succeed, you can ensure that you have no regrets in the future. Jiao Lei added at the side, a precious dream realm that even the righteous path Gu immortals are coveting, it is so rare that we can have this chance. That's right, now is just the start. Thus, the righteous path is not very strict yet. Lady White Rabbit continued, purposely telling Fong Yuan, after a while, it will be different. This business will not last long, the opportunity will depend on whether you can grab hold of it. What price do I have to pay? Fong Yuan pretended to hesitate. Lady White Rabbit said a sum. Fong Yuan showed a look of hesitation, I will consider it first. Of course, consider it well. Lady White Rabbit smiled, her attitude was still very polite. At this time, a female Gu immortal came to the counter. Lady White Rabbit's smile became more sincere, she disregarded Fong Yuan as she went over. Sister Miao Yin, you are here to try to find an opportunity again? That female Gu immortal nodded, saying, I feel that if I change to another location and enter the dream realm, I will have different gains. There were many Gu immortals inside the mortal Gu house. Lady White Rabbit was not the only intermediary. From time to time, new boards were hung on the wall. Fong Yuan walked out of the mortal Gu house, saying goodbye to Jiao Lei. You can consider this again, but in my opinion, you should decide it as soon as possible. It cannot be dragged out. You can see the situation for yourself, the longer you think, the longer the queue of Gu immortals become, there is no time to waste. Jiao Lei said before leaving. Fong Yuan expressed his gratitude as he left. Well, has he not made up his mind yet? Lady White Rabbit finished attending to her sister Miao Yin as she asked Jiao Lei. He said he needs to think about it. Sigh, I thought that I could earn a sum of recommendation fees to replenish my losses. Jiao Lei smiled bitterly. Jiao Lei, you are so affluent, why are you acting poor to me? Lady White Rabbit laughed, however, this person that you brought is likely a wandering secluded cultivator, he is poor and does not have resources, otherwise, why would he leave? Those with some funds would at least stay and interact for a while before leaving. Jiao Lei laughed bitterly, how am I affluent? I thank Lady White Rabbit for the praise. To speak the truth, this price is really expensive, even I feel great loss. Lady White Rabbit smiled, showing her pearly white teeth, this business relies on both parties' wishes, it is pricey because it is worth the cost, this is an opportunity involving great dream immortal venerable after all, right? Jiao Lei nodded, making up his mind, saying, I will pay a sum of resources, I want to try again. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 12-14, Situation of Southern Border. Chapter 12-14, Situation of Southern Border. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Looking at the clouds in the sky, Fong Yuan's expression was dark. He thought about the scene earlier. Out of his expectations, that immortal opportunity business, as it was known, of the dream realm was extremely popular. The involvement was far bigger than he had predicted earlier. Looking at the situation inside the mortal Gu house and Lady White Rabbit's tone, evidently, whether they were demonic path or lone cultivators, as long as they could pay the price, anyone could enter the righteous path's defensive Gu formation and interact with the dream realm. This is slightly above my expectations, but thinking about it, I understand why. Dream path. At this time period, it was very empty. Even though many super forces were researching on it, their gains were little. Fong Yuan had the killer move Unravel Dream, he was a leading figure in the current 5 regions. Of course, Ingwu Xie's lead soul into Dream was also very unique, it was an ability that surpassed the current era. Lead Soul into Dream had displayed incredible might during the Battle of Tian Mountain, the Heavenly Court Gu immortals had suffered due to it. And Fong Yuan's killer move, Unravel Dream, also gave him great gains, and immense profits. The righteous path Gu immortals might have encircled this dream realm, but they have no way of excavating the treasures inside. In fact, a while later, they lost many members, among which were rank 7 Gu immortal experts holding great authority. Luo clan even lost their third supreme elder. Such information could not be hidden, it was widely spread in the southern border Gu immortal world. Fang Yuan could easily obtain this information. The righteous path suffered a lot, they know the power of the dream realm, it is not possible to explore it randomly, so they use this method to scam the demonic path and lone cultivators' resources. And if any accidents happen, they would not need to waste any of their members to deal a huge blow to these non-righteous members. It is truly killing two birds with one stone. To be able to make this immortal opportunity business so popular and at such a huge scale but still have the ability to remain intact, evidently, the righteous path have come to a consensus. Lady White Rabbit's Mortal Gu House is backed by Southern Border's Righteous Path Gu Immortals. One clan is not enough, there are at least 6 or 7 clans working together to result in this fearless stance. Fang Yuan was an old schemer, because of the experiences in the 500 years of his previous life. He could clearly deduce all of the details regarding this immortal opportunity business. This way, even though he could use this method to enter the righteous path defensive Gu formation, and interact with the dream realm, he could not satisfy his own needs. What were Fang Yuan's needs? Firstly, he needed time and opportunity to interact with the giant dream realm for an extended period of time. Secondly, he needed an identity to protect himself, even if anything happened to the dream realm, he could continue staying there. Just 1 or 2 trips into the dream realm, what could Fang Yuan get? Just the cost involved was extremely high. But the prophecy of 3 venerables had deeply affected everyone, countless Gu immortals were still going ahead with it. The righteous path Gu immortals had already tasted suffering. By the time these demonic path and lone immortals realized the futility, their enthusiasm would fade. Furthermore, even if Fang Yuan did this and unraveled the dream realm, gaining an increase in his attainment level, it would trigger a change in the dream realm. At least, the dream realm would shrink by an amount. If other righteous path Gu immortals realized this situation, what would they do? By then, Fang Yuan would be inside the Gu formation, like fish on the chopping block. Even with the upper extreme heavenly eagle, Fang Yuan had no heavenly crystals to feed it. If I cannot do this, what should I try? Kill a righteous path Gu immortal and use familiar face to disguise myself before going inside? Fang Yuan thought about this, he shook his head, discarding this unrealistic idea. Firstly, Gu immortals from righteous path forces would use methods like Life Tablet Gu, Soul Lantern Gu or Blood Rope Gu. These methods allowed their clans to easily inspect if the Gu immortal was dead or alive. Furthermore, they could use these Life Tablet Gu, Soul Lantern Gu, or Blood Rope Gu to deduce the exact location of these Gu immortals with great ease. Once Fang Yuan kills these Gu immortals, the clan would react immediately. Unless Fang Yuan had information path methods that could deceive these Gu worms. Fang Yuan had always been weak in terms of information path. Furthermore, familiar face might be a rank 8 killer move, but it was not flawless. For example, back in Eastern Sea, Wu Xie could use Luck Inspection Immortal Gu to find out Fang Yuan's identity. Finally, once a long time passes, even if Fang Yuan used familiar face, lots of minute details or habits of the Gu immortal would slowly become flaws that allow others to realize a problem. Thus, killing someone and replacing them was not feasible. Fang Yuan thought from all angles, he could not think of any good ideas. Even if Fang Yuan had rank 8 battle strength and attacked the Gu formation forcefully, he might not be able to succeed. Even if he broke the Gu formation, there were still many rank 8 Gu immortals in southern border. By that time, when rank 8 enemies encircle him, Fang Yuan would be able to explore any dream realms. He could not find a solution, Fang Yuan was quite helpless. He thought about it and returned to the Mortal Gu house. Lady White Rabbit's eyes shone, she greeted Fang Yuan, have you considered it, you want to find your own immortal opportunity? Fang Yuan smiled bitterly, Fairy White Rabbit, I am but a secluded wanderer, I have not interacted much with the outside world, this price will cost me almost all my assets, I need to consider it. I am here this time to get some information from you, and understand matters in Southern Borders Gu immortal world. Fong Yuan said this as he handed Fairy White Rabbit a rank 6 immortal material. Fairy White Rabbit was slightly surprised. Even though this immortal material was very common, Fong Yuan's request was not hard. These days, she had been managing this business, she interacted with all sorts of Gu immortals, she had a good understanding of the Gu immortal world's current situation. Let's talk using this. Fairy White Rabbit gave Fong Yuan an information path mortal Gu. Super Dream Realm, Righteous Path Gu Formation. We meet again, Fairy Miao Yin, do you remember me? A Qiao clan Gu immortal led a female Gu immortal as they entered the Gu formation. Even though he was a righteous path Gu immortal, he had a fawning tone. Because this Fairy Miao Yin, although from the demonic path, was extremely beautiful, she inherited a predecessor's blessed land and was extremely affluent, she was publicly known as one of the 3 great fairies in Southern Borders Gu immortal world. The two entered the Gu formation. This was seen by the 2 righteous path Gu immortals at the center of the Gu formation. These people are becoming more daring. They used to come once every 7 days, but now, they come every 1 or 2 days, bringing all sorts of people in here. The 2 Gu immortals from Luo clan are still fine, they bring in people with good reputations and clean records. But Xiao clan's Gu immortals have no restraints, they are very greedy. This Miao Yin is a demonic path member. In the past, she had destroyed 2 important resource points of my Ba clan, and even injured 4 Ba clan Gu immortals who chased her. Gu immortal Ba Quan Fong said angrily. Beside him was another Ba clan Gu immortal. This person was very tall, nearly 3 meters, he had an old-fashioned appearance, his beard and hair were connected, his dark green beard hung down to his waist, while his jade green hair extended to the back of his waist. He had a large mouth and broad nose, his eyes were covered by a black cloth, covering them completely. He had a strong body with broad shoulders and chest, his skin that was not covered looked like 1,000-year-old tree bark, there was even green moss growing on it. He was thousands of years old, his cultivation level was stuck at the final step before reaching rank 8. He had rank 7 peak battle strength, publicly recognized in Southern Borders Gu immortal world as the number 1 person under rank 8, Old Treeman Bada. Bada spoke slowly, Little Fong, don't be anxious. Even though Qiao clan is weak, at the bottom of the righteous path forces, they are backed by Wu clan. Qiao clan and Wu clan have been linked by alliance marriages for tens of thousands of years. Ba Quan Fong heard about Wu clan and the anger on his face faded, but he still continued, Qiao clan is a righteous path force, but for the last few thousand years, they have been at Wu clan's beck and call, they are just a dog raised by Wu clan. This Wu clan is too overbearing. With 2 rank 8 Gu immortals in the clan, they act fearlessly. This time, they actually cooperated with 6 other clans, using this dream realm to make their immortal opportunity business. What do they think of the remaining 6 clans not involved, us included? This super Gu formation was made by all of us, we created it with all of our immortal Gu. He. Bada laughed, Little Fong, you are thinking that everyone should have a part of the profits? Ba Quan Feng's thoughts were exposed, his face turned red, I could not hide it from you, Lord. Bada shook his head, Wu clan's actions will attract even more clans to join in. After all, we have already realized that now is not the time to explore the dream realm. This method can give us greater profits, it is good for us. But our Ba clan cannot join in. Why is that? Ba Quan Fong asked quickly. There are advantages and disadvantages in this. Even though they gain many cultivation resources, we gain a hold on them in return. With enough evidence, in the future when we argue over it, my Ba clan will have the advantage. When we split the dream realm, we will get a bigger portion. Little Fong, look forward, the dream realm cannot be explored now, but what about the future? The dream realm is the true treasure. Ba sighed. But, Wu clan is so domineering, they have 2 rank 8 Gu immortals while we only have 1, by then, if they keep a strong stance, we cannot stop them. Ba Quan Fong said angrily. We cannot stop Wu clan, but what about the other clans? Furthermore, Wu clan's first supreme elder is close to dying, Wu clan will soon be in unrest for a long time. With just one rank 8 Gu immortal left, can Wu clan still be the #1 righteous path force? Ba De smiled with deep meaning. Ba Quanfeng stared with wide eyes, so the rumors that Wu clan first supreme elder's lifespan is depleted are not false. Impossible, they are a huge force, how can they not have lifespan Gu stocked up? Wu clan's first supreme elder had used other lifespan extension methods when she was young, there were problems left behind. Right now, lifespan Gu has no use to her. Ba decide, with her death, the entire situation in southern border will change. By then, we'll see if Wu clan can control the situation, our clans will have a chance to strike. After all these years, Wu clan has occupied too many resources. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 12:15, Wu clan's conflict. Chapter 12:15, Wu clan's conflict. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Wu Duxiu slowly opened her eyes. A brand new day. She thought to herself. A rank 8 immortal Gu was flying around in this average-sized house. Food path immortal Gu, medicine fragrance. This was a healing immortal Gu, it filled the entire house with a thick fragrance of medicine. But Wu Duxiu's own rotting smell was intense, the medicine fragrance could not conceal it. The two smells mixed together, even Gu immortals could not stand it. Another passing day meant one less day left. Wu Duxiu knew that she was very close to dying. At this moment, she was lying in her bed, looking at the scene outside her room, her heart was filled with tranquility. Long ago, when she was still a rank 6 Gu immortal, she fell in love with a demonic path Gu cultivator, and was punished by the clan. She was locked in this house for 15 years. To think that this was her fortuitous encounter. It turned out, inside this house, there was an inheritance of a Wu clan ancestor. Wu Duxiu obtained it and cultivated in secret, her strength rose rapidly and drastically. She even used the great expert's blessed land to meet with her lover in secret. Wu clan's Gu immortals did not expect that Wu Duxiu was openly breaking the clan rules under their watch. Those were Wu Duxiu's happiest years, she was immersed in unparalleled bliss. Back then, she was just a young, beautiful and silly girl, she did not know the vicious nature of people, she could not tell that her lover had ulterior motives. Time passed. Thousands of years later, Wu Duxiu returned to this house. She was close to dying, her lifespan was running out, she had days left. This old woman was filled with experience and fatigue, her murky gaze seemed to have crossed thousands of years, back to the past when she spent her happiest times laughing in this house, all of her memories were surfacing in her mind. These memories were forever painted in a rosy light. The windows of the house were opened, a gentle breeze carrying the fragrance of flowers and grass entered her room. A young lady with a beautiful appearance, youthful with eyes clear as water, greatly moving. She was singing in the house, cleaning up the place and doing a lot of mortal chores, yet she was extremely happy and lively. At that time, happiness was so easily obtained. But as she grew older, this simple bliss left her. As for that lover, Wu Duxiu's first love, she had already forgotten him. His image was blurry. The pain that he had caused Wu Duxiu caused her to grieve terribly, the hatred that tortured her tired soul had faded with the wind. Creak. With a soft sound, the door of the house was opened by someone. Wu Duxiu turned her head with difficulty, through the curtains, she saw a familiar figure. She was not surprised, she had allowed this. She was Wu clan's first supreme elder, a person who was in power for thousands of years, without her permission, who could enter this house. You are here. Wu Duxiu spoke faintly with much difficulty. But the person who came was very well-mannered, he knelt on the ground and bowed deeply, I am here to meet you, mother. This person was a middle-aged man with an ordinary appearance, he had a strong body and sharp eyebrows, giving him a dark and hazy aura. Wu Duxiu spoke, I called you here to tell you something. You have a younger half-brother, he was born in Eastern Sea. I will pass everything in Wu clan to you. And my own inheritance will be left to him, do you understand? The middle-aged man lowered his head until it touched the ground, this child understands. You may leave. Wu Du Xiu paused for a moment before saying, I will take my leave. The middle-aged Gu immortal said carefully. He slowly got up and moved back a few steps before turning around and leaving the house, softly shutting the doors. He did not dare to even breath loudly. He had an expression of reverence that never changed. Only after he left and passed several large mountains, reaching his own immortal Gu house, did his expression change. Mother is muddle-headed. Before dying, she actually wants to bring back that illegitimate son. That bastard, can't he stay in Eastern Sea for good? Why must he return and fight with me over the inheritance? The middle-aged Gu immortal flew into a rage. Master, don't be angry, mind your health. A rank 7 Gu immortal with a hunched back quickly urged. The middle-aged Gu immortal kicked him away, roaring, Mother's abilities come from her wind path immortal Gu. She wants to hand these immortal Gu to that bastard. Without these immortal Gu, with just my rank 8 cultivation level, what can I do? We would still be bullied by Ba clan, Tai clan, and Shang clan. Saying that she will leave everything in Wu clan to me, Why do I want these resources for? I want her rank 8 immortal Gu, I want battle strength. With strength, what can I not get? The middle-aged Gu immortal got angrier as he spoke. He paced around in the immortal Gu house. Master, we could also just finish him off. The rank 7 hunched back Gu immortal walked forward and chopped downwards with his hand. The middle-aged Gu immortal stopped walking. He frowned deeply, turning to ask the rank 7 Gu immortal, you mean to say? That's right, First Supreme Elder only has 2 sons, other than you, there is only the Eastern Sea illegitimate son. If we kill him, then all of First Supreme Elder's inheritance will be yours, right? The rank 7 hunched back Gu immortal smiled sinisterly. The middle-aged Gu immortal blinked rapidly as sweat appeared on his forehead. No. If mother finds out, I will be finished. Thinking about his mother's methods, even though the middle-aged Gu immortal had rank 8 cultivation level, he could not help but tremble. Forget it, he is only rank 7, what can he do even if he returns? The middle-aged Gu immortal sighed deeply. But the hunchback Gu immortal did not give up. He continued to speak, Oh master, you cannot think like that. He already has rank 7 cultivation level, what will happen when he gets First Supreme Elder's immortal Gu? The middle-aged Gu immortal snorted, regaining some of his defiance, even if he has rank 8 immortal Gu, his Dao mark accumulation cannot compare to mine. He is not my match. It is a pity regarding those 2 rank 8 immortal Gu, however. Sigh. The hunchback Gu immortal smiled sinisterly, Master, you are just hesitant because you are afraid of failure and causing First Supreme Elder to punish you. Actually, we do not need to act ourselves. Other than us, there is Ba clan, Tai clan, Chi clan, and others, they are all after our clan status, they want to displace us. As long as we release information about his traveling route, we can lure them to attack. By then, we will benefit from it greatly. The middle-aged Gu immortal heard and his eyes shone, he praised, good plan, Su Tua, you are indeed my greatest aid. When I become First Supreme Elder, I will not mistreat you. Master, it is my job to solve problems for you, it is my honor. The hunchback Gu immortal's eyes were turning red as he choked, holding back a sob. The middle-aged Gu immortal patted Su Tuo's shoulder, he did not speak, he only showed happiness on his face. Inside the immortal Gu house, both master and servant had a lightened atmosphere. Master, there is no time, should I go prepare now? Yes, go ahead, I am assured if you are handling it. After leaving the immortal Gu house, Su Tuo's eyes flashed with a sharp and dark light. Humph. After spending so much effort, I finally managed to convince this Wu Yong, this way, even if I expose information about this illegitimate son, and get hunted down by others, I will be safe under Wu Yong's protection. My true identity will not be exposed. Su Tuo's true identity was not just simply Wu Yong's servant, the truth was, he was a Ba clan Gu immortal. He was a spy planted into Wu clan, he had the highest authority among the spies. The situation in southern border was very different from northern plains and central continent. Among the righteous path forces in southern border, Wu clan was the domineering one. In history, at their peak, they had 3 rank 8 Gu immortals. And across history, Wu clan always had at least one rank 8 Gu immortal to hold the fort in their clan. Wu clan had always been strong. Wu Du Xiu's life was ending, while Wu Yong was not talented enough. Even though he was rank 8, compared to the other righteous path rank 8s, he was not impressive. Wu Du Xiu's illegitimate son, Wu Yi-hai, had incredible talent according to some information. Even though he was a lone cultivator in Eastern Sea, he had formidable battle strength. He was quite famous even in Eastern Sea's Gu immortal world. Killing Wu Yi-hai could not only weaken Wu clan, it can also attack Wu Yong's reputation, and send Wu clan into chaos and suspicion internally. Su Tuo went with much hope. Some days later, 3 Gu immortals were passing through the Miasma regional wall. Young master, we are almost through the Miasma regional wall. This is the final hurdle. Once we are out of the regional wall, they will have fewer chances to attack us. An elderly Gu immortal said solemnly. Wu Yi-hai suddenly said, Uncle Zhang, you mean that the following part of the journey is the most dangerous? That's right. The elderly Gu immortal nodded seriously. Another young-looking Gu immortal said, but as long as we get through this, we will be completely free. As long as you can meet your mother, all of the hardship and suffering on this trip would be repaid by hundreds or thousands of times. Hearing about his mother, Wu Yi-hai had complex emotions. He sighed, oh. What rewards, I am not thinking about them. I just want to see my birth mother. She was the one who abandoned me, but she also got Uncle Zhang to lead me on the road of cultivation. I want to meet her personally, and for the first and final time, before leaving. I am an Eastern Sea Gu immortal. I became immortal in Eastern Sea. Uncle Zhang smiled, young master, don't worry, First Supreme Elder had long since thought of this, she prepared everything for you. Even though you became immortal in Eastern Sea, we have an immortal killer move to cleanse your heaven and earth chi, to turn you from an Eastern Sea Gu immortal to a Southern Border Gu immortal. From now on, you can undergo tribulations in Southern Border, taking in heaven and earth chi without any problems. Oh. There is such a way. Wu Yi-hai heard this and became overjoyed. Even though he had some fame in Eastern Sea, he was just a lone cultivator. He knew the pain and weakness of cultivating alone. If he had a super force to rely on, Wu Yi-hai would be glad about it. He was just thinking about this, when suddenly, dragon breath resembling sword light assaulted his face. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 12:16, Regional Wall Ambush. Chapter 12:16, Regional Wall Ambush. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. This dragon breath was extremely sharp. Before it even hit, Wu Yi-hai already felt like there were needles poking into his face. He was extremely shocked. He had no time to dodge. Clang! With a sharp metallic sound, a small, round and golden shield appeared in front of Wu Yi-hai at the moment of life and death. The dragon breath made of sword light landed on the golden shield. In the blink of an eye, this shield broke as the remaining power shot towards Wu Yi-hai's face. But with this golden shield, Wu Yi-hai gained a precious amount of time to save his own life. He was a renowned rank 7 Gu immortal in Eastern Sea indeed, he called out as he activated his transformation path killer move. Light shone, Wu Yi-hai vanished on the spot, a huge tortoise appeared in his place. The huge tortoise's 4 limbs, head, and tail were kept inside a shell. The dragon breath landed on the huge tortoise's shell, causing a deep mark to form. What amazing dragon breath! The horned divine tortoise that I transformed into is an ancient desolate beast. It has a tough shell, it is top 10 even among Eastern Sea's ancient desolate beasts. Wu Yi-hai was very shocked. It seems that the enemy is stronger than all the earlier ambushes. Now, it will depend on Uncle Zhang and Brother Leng. Wu Yi-hai was a transformation path Gu immortal, but the horned divine tortoise he turned into was huge and had good speed when traveling underwater. On land, it was far slower. Its battle strength also fell by a lot. Wu Yihai was merely using the Horned Divine Tortoise's strong defense. High defense and low offense. Even though Wu Yihai protected his life, he lost all initiative in this battle. He had other methods to turn into other lifeforms as well, but do not forget about the major weakness of transformation path Gu immortals. That was, they could not transform casually. When changing to different forms, time needed to be spent. Gu immortals had to remove the temporary Dao marks on them first before transforming again. Fang Yuan had the sovereign immortal body. That was a special case. Qi Zai had once mistaken that he had obtained reckless savage demon venerable's true inheritance, which allowed him to casually change forms. Thus, after Wu Yihai became a Horned Divine Tortoise, even though he saved his life, for the short term, he could not counterattack. But Wu Yihai did not panic. He knew that there were 2 rank 7 Gu immortal experts with him. One was Uncle Zhang, the other was Brother Leng. Wu Yihai did not know their full names, but he knew that these 2 were sent by his mother, bodyguards to escort him to southern border. On the previous parts of this journey, these 2 Gu immortals displayed incredible strength. They were reliable and had helped Wu Yihai to get through many hurdles. Wu Yihai placed his hopes in Uncle Zhang and Brother Leng, but Uncle Zhang was spitting out blood. He had to. Because his golden shield was broken by that sword-light dragon breath. This was Uncle Zhang's defensive killer move. After it was broken, Uncle Zhang suffered a backlash. He immediately spat out blood. Similar to Wu Yihai, Uncle Zhang was very shocked. Inside this miasma regional wall, all immortal killer moves are weakened by the miasma. This dragon breath penetrated the miasma and broke my defenses. It even left a mark on the Horned Divine Tortoise shell. How strong is that dragon breath? Uncle Zhang was spitting blood, Brother Leng was flying forward. The 2 worked with coordination. This young Gu immortal knew that Uncle Zhang needed to rest after his defensive killer move was broken. He charged fiercely and imposingly. In the blink of an eye, he turned from a human into a lightning-flashed giant wolf. The lightning-flashed giant wolf was an ancient desolate beast. It was covered in blue fur. The tips of the fur was all covered in mysterious blue crystals. They gave off weak sparks. Once the lightning-flashed giant wolf appeared, it brightened up the dark purple miasma in the area. It followed the path formed by the dragon breath, and charging forward. Its 4 limbs moved, its muscles pushed with strength, giving this Gu immortal incredible speed. At the same time, countless strands of lightning resembling snakes appeared on this lightning-flashed giant wolf's body. The lightning snakes gathered into a stream that shot forward from the lightning-flashed giant wolf's head. This was the Gu immortal's immortal killer move. Seeing this, Uncle Zhang relaxed his mind. In a few breaths of time, he suppressed his injuries as his body shone in a bright light. In the blink of an eye, he turned into a golden sword-teethed tiger. His size was twice as large as the lightning-flashed giant wolf. As it turned out, he was also a transformation path Gu immortal. This was Wu Du Xiu's purposeful arrangement. Because the regional walls of the 5 regions were very special. Between different cultivation paths, there was no difference in terms of passing through them, but if they fought inside, transformation path Gu immortals had an advantage. Inside the regional wall, when Gu immortals used their immortal killer moves, their immortal apertures would shake and they would get injured before even harming the enemy. But if they turned into a fierce beast, fighting with just their physical body, this weakness would be avoided, and they would have a sustainable source of battle strength. Uncle Zhang took a look behind. He knew of the Horned Divine Tortoise's defense. He instructed Wu Yihai before following after the lightning-flashed giant wolf, charging forward. Soon, Uncle Zhang saw the lightning-flashed giant wolf running back. Behind the lightning-flashed giant wolf, there were streams of dragon breath made of sword light shooting towards him. Inside the thick dark purple miasma, dragon roars could be heard. What is going on? Uncle Zhang was shocked. He knew that the Brother Leng was very courageous in battle. He would not retreat without a reason. There has to be a reason why he was running. Don't fight, retreat. Brother Leng saw the golden tiger and spoke human words. Uncle Zhang was even more shocked now. Why did Brother Leng want to avoid battle? He was about to ask, when he finally saw the culprit that attacked them. A sword dragon penetrated the dark purple miasma, appearing before them. Many layers of silvery white dragon scales, pale white dragon eyes, a dragon horn that pierced towards the sky, and 4 sharp and dangerous dragon claws, dragon teeth that were shining with sharp light, as well as the aura of many immortal Gu in its body. Is this a wild ancient sword dragon? Uncle Zhang opened his eyes wide, unable to believe it. But the truth was right in front of him, he had to accept it. At this moment, he understood why the Gu immortal who usually felt no fear in any situation would retreat so suddenly. Because he encountered a wild ancient sword dragon, this sword dragon did not come from the 5 regions, it lived in either White Heaven or Black Heaven. Why was Uncle Zhang so sure? Because this ancient sword dragon could move freely in the regional wall, its movements were so fluid, as if it did not feel any resistance or pressure. For Gu immortals, they were differentiated by regions. When they enter regional walls, they would be greatly affected. Only life forms that lived in the ancient White Heaven or Black Heaven would be able to move freely in the 5 regional walls. Uncle Zhang did not hesitate, he turned around and fled. Being unaffected by the regional wall, this advantage was huge. Gu immortals in the regional walls could display only about 50 to 60% of their strength. Even in the outside world, against an ancient sword dragon with multiple wild immortal Gu, Uncle Zhang did not have confidence. Not to mention right now, when they were inside a special environment like the regional wall. Why are we so unlucky? So coincidentally, we encountered a wild ancient sword dragon, roaming in the regional wall. I am guessing that this ancient sword dragon is likely to have been lured here by certain Gu immortals, to obstruct us. While escaping, Uncle Zhang and Brother Leng conversed. Soon, they met with the horned divine tortoise that Wu Yi-hai had turned into. Wu Yi-hai was informed of the situation as well. He quickly transmitted, "Try not to fight with this ancient sword dragon, it might have been lured here, with the purpose of draining our immortal essence and battle strength as we fight it." Then what do we do? Retreat, leave the ancient sword dragon alone and try not to aggravate it, but we also have to display great strength. Wild beasts have little intelligence, but if it knows that the prey is powerful, it will give up. The 3 Gu immortals quickly decided on a plan. Less offense and more defense, they allowed the ancient sword dragon to trail behind them, using its sword-like dragon breath. The 3 Gu immortals retreated, they were on the back foot against the dragon breath, unable to raise their heads. What do we do? This ancient sword dragon seems to be locked onto us. Maybe I aggravated it earlier when I used a lightning path killer move. I have an immortal killer move that can reduce the anger of this fierce beast, but I need to change my killer move. The 3 immortals quickly discussed. They soon decided that Brother Leng and Uncle Zhang would defend while Wu Yi-hai would change his transformation to appease the ancient sword dragon. Wu Yi-hai carefully changed back to human form. He hid behind the 2 immortals, using his methods to get rid of the Dao marks on him, before using another transformation. As a wild beast, the ancient sword dragon would have little intelligence, it constantly attacked the huge wolf and golden tiger instead. Uncle Zhang and Brother Leng thus endured the attacks of the ancient sword dragon, defending with much difficulty. They were both injured, but to chase this ancient sword dragon away, they did not use their offensive techniques, to prevent the situation from worsening and falling into their enemy's trap. It is almost ready, my immortal killer move is, Wu Yi-hai's joyous tone turned into a shocked gasp. Because he saw that the golden tiger that Uncle Zhang had turned into had its head pierced by an immortal killer move, dying on the spot. Sword path killer move, dark assassination. It was so sudden, without any warning. Next, that ancient sword dragon burst out with unparalleled speed in an instant, flying forward like a silver bolt of lightning, leaving behind vague silhouettes in the immortal's eyes as it vanished on the spot. Brother Leng was shocked. We fell for their trap. Oh no. He turned around, only to see that Wu Yi-hai's head was shattered into pieces, his white brain matter was flowing out. His headless corpse was grabbed by the ancient sword dragon, stuffed into its immortal aperture. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 12:17, Cultivation Level Rises Again. Chapter 12:17, Cultivation Level Rises Again. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Seeing this, the poor Brother Leng's eyes were almost popping out. How can this be? This ancient sword dragon has an immortal aperture, it is not wild, it is a Gu Immortal's transformation. This should not be. If it is a transformation path Gu Immortal, why is it not affected by the regional wall? Brother Leng screamed crazily in his mind. This went against the common sense of the cultivation world. How could this happen? The ancient sword dragon roared as it charged at him. Blood flowed out of the eyes of the lightning-flashed giant wolf. Wu Yihai was dead, everything that he did earlier was for nothing. Brother Leng tried to defend himself, in order to save his own life. The ancient sword dragon craftily dodged all of his immortal killer moves, spitting out streams of dragon breath at the lightning-flashed giant wolf as it flew around it. The lightning-flashed giant wolf could barely move in the regional wall, like an old man. But the ancient sword dragon was unaffected, it moved smoothly and could retreat and advance with ease, it held the initiative. The lightning-flashed giant wolf could only take a beating, even if it used immortal killer moves to retaliate, the ancient sword dragon easily dodged them. A moment later, the ancient sword dragon found a flaw and sent dragon breath at the lightning-flashed giant wolf's stomach. The lightning-flashed giant wolf's defenses crumbled, its stomach was penetrated, its intestines and blood flowed out of the huge wound that was created. The ancient sword dragon attacked using this chance, even though the lightning-flashed giant wolf dodged left and right, it could not resist the attacks of the ancient sword dragon, it fell on the ground with many holes in its body, it turned back to human form and died in a pool of blood at the hands of the ancient sword dragon. The ancient sword dragon quickly cleaned up the battlefield, moving with great familiarity, as if it had gone through this countless times. Soon, Uncle Zhang and Brother Leng's corpses were stuffed into the immortal aperture, before it destroyed the battlefield entirely and flew away. The ancient sword dragon did not turn around and return to southern border, instead, it flew towards the east, going through the Miasma regional wall and Blue Water regional wall to reach Eastern Sea. It searched for a nameless sea area before placing Wu Yihai in it. After the blessed land was formed, the entrance was opened, and the ancient sword dragon flew in using the opportunity. Wu Yihai's blessed land was an ocean. The types of lifeforms inside mainly were sea turtles and tortoises, corals, and seagulls. Inside, there were desolate beasts, and even ancient desolate beasts. Like 3 ancient desolate beast horned divine tortoises, a field of ancient desolate plant silent corals, and 6 desolate beast white letter blue feather seagulls. Not long after, the land spirit appeared before the ancient sword dragon. This was a land spirit in the shape of a sea turtle, it gave a rather difficult acknowledgement requirement. The ancient sword dragon could only leave this blessed land temporarily. After returning to the outside world and confirming its safety, the ancient sword dragon turned back to human. Who else could it be but Feng Yuan? As it turned out, he had learned a lot of intelligence about southern border from Lady White Rabbit, he knew about Wu Yihai's matter. This was Wu clan's internal conflict, but it involved Wu Duxiu, naturally it escalated into a huge matter. Wu Yihai's route was widely spread, Feng Yuan sensed acutely that this was a major chance. Evidently, Wu Yihai was very suitable for Feng Yuan to disguise as and replace. Firstly, he was Wu Duxiu's illegitimate son, he did not have any life tablet Gu or soul lantern Gu, otherwise, he would not be an illegitimate son but the second young master instead. Thus, when Feng Yuan killed him, there was little chance that Wu clan found out. Secondly, Wu Yihai had always been staying in Eastern Sea, cultivating as a lone cultivator, he had basically zero interaction with Wu clan's Gu immortals. Most of Wu Clan's Gu immortals did not even know what his appearance was, especially the details regarding his habits and the way he spoke. Nobody knew about those. Thus, once Fang Yuan used familiar face to disguise as Wu Yi-hai, for a long period of time, there was little chance of him getting exposed. Wu Yi-hai's blessed land was not obtained, but Fang Yuan did not panic. He found a deserted island and rested in it. On one hand, he was waiting for blood asset immortal Gu to recover, on the other hand, he was trying to modify an immortal killer move, blood light spirit suppression. Ever since blood asset immortal Gu was injured, Fang Yuan had been healing it, paying great attention to it. It had almost recovered fully already. Thus, in a few days, Fang Yuan got back his blood asset immortal Gu in perfect condition. But Fang Yuan continued to cultivate, deducing blood light spirit suppression. Finally, he got what he wanted, a simplified version of blood light spirit suppression using blood asset immortal Gu as the core. Matters became simpler now. Fang Yuan used the upper extreme heavenly eagle to enter Wu Yi-hai's blessed land. After getting close to the land spirit, he suppressed it with blood light spirit suppression. Next, because the land spirit had no resistance anymore, Fang Yuan spent a lot of effort to successfully annex this blessed land, making it a part of the sovereign immortal aperture. This allowed his calamities and tribulations to move ahead by a large number. After all, Wu Yi-hai was a rank 7 Gu immortal. He was different from those at rank 6. As for Wu Yi-hai's sea turtle land spirit, under Fang Yuan's careful preservation, it did not vanish, it entered Fang Yuan's immortal aperture along with the blessed land. But it did not listen to Fang Yuan, it cried all the time. Fang Yuan wanted to get rid of it, but after realizing that it did not have the intention to harm the blessed land, he gave up that idea. Maybe when I fulfill the ownership requirement, I would be able to truly subdue this land spirit. After this matter was settled, Fang Yuan immediately traveled across the regional walls, going back to southern border. Once he entered southern border, he flew straight towards the central region of southern border, placing the immortal apertures of Brother Lang and Uncle Zhang and annexing them after they formed blessed lands. This way, I have already passed one grand tribulation. Fang Yuan inspected, he found that after annexing 3 rank 7 Gu immortals blessed lands, his cultivation level rose sharply. He was a rank 7 Gu immortal who had passed one grand tribulation already. Rank 7 Gu immortals faced an earthly calamity every 10 years, a heavenly tribulation every 50 years, and a grand tribulation every 100 years. After 300 years, after passing 3 grand tribulations, they would become rank 8. But the might of the grand tribulation gets stronger each time, by tens or hundreds of times. Southern border's top rank 7 Gu immortal, Old Treeman Bada, is stuck at the final grand tribulation. He does not dare to undergo tribulation. His gains this time were out of Fang Yuan's expectations. Not only did he annex 3 rank 7 blessed lands, it even caused his cultivation level to rise sharply. Such cultivation speed was scary even for him. Fang Yuan could not help but gasp at his good luck. Dog shit luck immortal Gu, worthy of giant sun immortal venerables vital Gu. I wonder what will happen when I elevate it to rank 8, how would it compare to fortune rivaling heaven immortal Gu? Fang Yuan subconsciously looked above his head, even though he had no luck inspection immortal Gu. He did not know that the entire matter went so smoothly largely because of Ing Wu Xie. He had used the immortal killer move burning soul bursting luck. Especially when he fought against the 3 Gu immortals including Wu Yi-hai, they actually misunderstood Fang Yuan as a wild ancient sword dragon. One hand, ancient sword dragons truly could be unrestricted by regional walls, they could not help but think of it like that. On the other hand, Fang Yuan had used attitude Gu and disguised himself. The 3 Gu immortals were just rank 7, they fell for it without realizing. Thus, when fighting, Fang Yuan had an easy time. The 3 Gu immortals defended more than they attacked, they chose to take a beating. Later on, Wu Yi-hai thought the ancient sword dragon had low intelligence and actually spoke, saying that he was going to attempt to change into another form. Hearing this, the 2 immortals naturally relaxed their minds. Fang Yuan saw this massive opportunity and activated the killer move that he had prepared long ago, dark assassination, killing Uncle Zhang. Next, he attacked at lightning speed, eliminating Wu Yihai. In the blink of an eye, only Brother Leng was left. At that point, Fang Yuan's victory was assured. In this battle, Fang Yuan gained immensely. The only drawback was, these 3 transformation path Gu Immortals' immortal apertures had shaken intensely, a lot of resources were lost. There was no helping it, they were attacked many times in the regional walls, it was impressive to have lasted until then. Next, Fang Yuan did not go to Wu clan immediately. He soul-searched Wu Yihai as he tried to understand his entire life. During this period, Fang Yuan was not cultivating in seclusion, he went to Lady White Rabbit for more intelligence. Wu Yihai's disappearance was known to the whole of southern border. It was unknown if he was alive or dead, Wu clan chose to remain silent. The forces had their guesses, although they were inclined to believe, Wu Yihai was dead, but it was unknown who did it. There were many forces who acted in the dark, most of them were righteous path forces, this matter was known to everyone. These forces were not going to foolishly admit they were the ones who killed Wu Yihai, of course. Regarding this problem, there was a rumor that was entering everyone's ears. That was, the true culprit who murdered Wu Yihai was none other than Wu clan rank 8 Gu immortal Wu Yong. There were many versions of this rumor, but the central claim was, Wu Yong wanted to take Wu Du Xiu's inheritance for himself, thus, he went ahead to murder his half-brother. Undeniably, this was a severe blow to Wu Yong. Demonic path Gu immortals did not care, while it varied from person to person for lone immortals, but righteous path Gu immortals placed a lot of emphasis on and treasured their reputations. Wu Yong also chose to remain silent, he did not clarify anything. Interesting. Fang Yuan could feel many hidden undercurrents in this matter, countless forces and Gu immortals were secretly exerting force, creating this contest that was carefully hidden from view. Wu Du Xiu was about to die, Wu Yong, who had always lived in his mother's shadow, had rank 8 cultivation level, but his abilities were widely questioned. If I appear at this time, what would happen? Fang Yuan had just thought of this when he felt a cold chill running down his spine. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1218, Du Xiu, Yong. Chapter 1218, Du Xiu, Yong. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Fang Yuan looked over the situation, he knew that now was not the time for Wu Yihai to show up. Firstly, he had not completely searched Wu Yihai's soul yet, his preparations were not complete. Secondly, Wu Du Xiu was not dead yet. If Wu Du Xiu did not die, Fang Yuan could not safely appear as Wu Yihai. Rank 8 Gu immortal. Who knew what methods Wu Du Xiu had to ascertain if Wu Yihai was her own son? Even though Wu Yihai would lose a lot in this case, Fang Yuan only really wanted the identity of Wu Yihai. That was his original motive. If his disguise failed because of some greed, he would lose this rare opportunity, that was the biggest loss to him, he would slap himself endlessly. Finally, there was danger lurking in all righteous path forces, the same went for even Wu clan. There was no smoke without fire. Wu Yong indeed had the motive and was likely to deal with Wu Yihai. If Fang Yuan appeared too early, he might get killed by Wu clan secretly. Speaking of which, Wu Yihai's identity is quite troublesome. But thankfully, I have future memories, I know what happened in the 500 years of my previous life, this can help me analyze the situation. Just like this, Fang Yuan continued to cultivate. He continued to soul-search Wu Yihai while collecting information about the outside world. Wu Du Xiu's condition was getting worse every day, the entirety of southern border was in a commotion. Over in northern plains, the blood battle martial competition was still ongoing. Without Lu Guanyi, Chu Du's side was completely suppressed. But soon, the situation changed. Heavenly Lord Bai Zhu personally invited 3 rank 7 lone immortals and they won consecutively, helping Chu Du's side reach a deadlock with the Righteous Path Alliance. Lu tribe Gu immortal Lu Chang had been announcing that he wanted Lu Guanyi to fight him, otherwise, he was a coward, a chicken and more. Not only was Lu Chang seeking to trouble Fang Yuan, the same went for other forces like Yi Lui tribe. But Lu Guanyi had vanished without a trace, as if this person had never existed in Northern Plains Gu immortal world. These pursuing forces were bound to fail, but over in Central Continent, many Gu immortals had worse fates. Defy. This underground organization created by Shadow Sect's Gu immortals had been eradicated completely by Heavenly Court's Gu immortals as well as the 10 great ancient sects. Other than that, many of the people on the Demon Judgment Board had been captured, Blood Path demonic immortals were killed, while some other demonic path or lone immortals had less severe crimes, they were taken away by the 10 great ancient sects and turned into slave Gu immortals. On a certain day, half a month later, Wu Du Xiu summoned Wu Yong and several other Wu clan supreme elders to her house. At her dying moments, Wu Du Xiu spoke with unprecedented clarity. She said, "I have 3 regrets in life. The first regret is that I failed to exterminate the 7 fierce gorge ghosts, I only destroyed their den. The second regret is that I did not manage to find enough dry clear qi to refine 8-faced prestige wind Gu. The third regret." Saying this, Wu Du Xiu paused. "Is that I did not get to see my son Yi Hai. Back then. I hated his father, I killed him, but I should not have placed that hatred and anger on a pure and innocent child, he is blameless. I want to make it up to him, but it is too late." In the house, nobody made a sound, it was silent. Wu Du Xiu sighed, sitting up on her own. She got into a half-sitting position with much difficulty, leaning on the head of her bed, she waved to Wu Yong weakly. Wu Yong understood her intention, he quickly pulled the curtains apart and stepped forward, getting to Wu Du Xiu and kneeling down reverently. Wu Du Xiu looked at her eldest son and smiled after a long time. "Yong heir, you are good, I am not disappointed." Wu Yong's body shuddered, he raised his head, his eyes were red, tears were sprinkling down. At this moment, he was expressing his true emotions, this old woman in front of him was his mother after all. "I am handing Wu clan to you, I can rest assured." Wu Du Xiu continued to say. "Mother." Wu Yong opened his mouth, his voice was hoarse, tears were streaming down his face. Wu Du Xiu continued, "My child Yi Hai was unable to come here, that is fate. Forget it, I will hand these immortal Gu to you. You cultivate wind path as well, I hope you can cherish them and put them to good use." "Mother, I don't want your immortal Gu, I just want you to live." Wu Yong sobbed. "Silly child, who can avoid dying? Even immortal venerables and demon venerables with immense strength die in the end. Eternal life is but a fantasy of fools." Saying this, Wu Du Xiu's immortal Gu flew out of her immortal aperture, going towards Wu Yong. The Wu clan supreme elders on the other side of the curtain watched this quietly. The transfer was smooth. Aura of immortal Gu faded into Wu Yong's body one by one. Wu Du Xiu looked outside the window. The sunlight was bright, through the small window, it entered the room. In a daze, Wu Du Xiu could almost see a figure in the sunlight. That figure was neither her father or mother, it was also not the man who she had once loved in her life, it was herself. That young version of herself, the lady whose smile was as bright as the sun. Wu Du Xiu. Wu Du Xiu. He he. Wu Du Xiu muttered her own name twice, before laughing lightly. Her body began to shine with white light, countless white specks were flying out of her shriveled old body. The specks of light were the dissipation of her soul and body. A moment later, there was nobody left on the bed, the reputable and powerful rank 8 Gu immortal, Wu Du Xiu, a legendary person who had exerted her influence on southern border for thousands of years, had at this moment, vanished from this world. She did not leave behind her body or her soul. First Supreme Elder. Outside the curtain, Wu clan's supreme elders cried out with sorrow. Cries filled this small house without any owner. Incredible anguish was vented through crying. Wu Yong cried quietly, he knelt on the ground, lowering his head and not moving, like a statue. Long after, he slowly raised his head, he no longer cried, his expression was as firm as steel. He stood up. Next, he looked at the Wu clan supreme elders through the curtain. They were sprawling on the ground, crying painfully without any of their usual demeanor. Everyone, hold in your sadness. Mother is gone, but we have to continue enveloping southern border with Wu clan's glory. Wu Yong's plain tone carried extraordinary authority. The supreme elders gradually stopped crying. Wu Yong pulled the curtain aside, walking out. The supreme elders had already stood up, they realized something. The atmosphere had become heavy. These Gu immortal elders paid their respects towards Wu Yong. They said together, we pay respects to first supreme elder. The legend of a generation, Wu Du Xiu had died. As her son, Wu Yong with rank 8 cultivation level became the next first supreme elder of Wu clan. After news got out from Wu clan, it spread through the entire southern border Gu immortal world at lightning speed. Southern border was in a commotion. Wu Du Xiu had finally died. Many Gu immortals and forces let out sighs of relief. Wu clan originally had 2 rank 8 Gu immortals, but now only one was left. Could it still remain as the number 1 righteous path force? Wu clan seemed to have too many resource points under its control. Wu Du Xiu was gone, only Wu Yong, who had insufficient talent and abilities, was left. Could he truly lead Wu clan on a path of glory? Not only were the Gu immortals outside of Wu clan thinking about this, even within Wu clan, many members were doubtful towards the abilities of this new first supreme elder. And also the rumors of Wu Yong killing his half-brother Wu Yi. At this moment, they were spread around fiercely, like the surface of boiling water, bubbles were emerging fiercely. Qingyang Mountain. Qiao clan's headquarters were here. 2 Gu immortals of Qiao clan were standing at the peak, looking in Wu clan's direction. The 2 immortals could see many layers of clouds, mountains winds were blowing and causing their sleeves to flutter. Qiao clan's first supreme elder sighed, Wu Du Xiu is dead. Wu Yong has just taken over her position, but he is already plagued by the rumors of killing his brother. This is a good opportunity for our Qiao clan. Everyone thinks that we are Wu clan's lackey, but the truth is, we were just trying to survive. With Wu clan's commotion, we can finally have a chance to take action. Compared to other clans, we have better reasons to do this because of our long-term marriage alliances with Wu clan. Wu Yong seems ordinary, but I feel like he is not so simple. Even if he is not talented, he is still a rank 8 Gu immortal. The other Gu immortal spoke. She looked like a woman in her 20s, she wore a green dress that could not conceal her alluring body shape. Her skin was white as snow, her eyes were concealed by her long eyelashes, they seemed clear as water. She was Qiao clan's pride, a genius that was the hope for the future, as well as one of the 3 great fairies of southern border, Xiao Si Lu. Qiao clan's first supreme elder laughed, "Oh Lu heir, this is the reason why I asked you to talk to me. We are going to continue our marriage alliance with Wu clan." Xiao Si Lu's body shook, "I understand, I am willing to contribute to the clan." "Very good, the clan did not raise you in vain." Qiao clan's first supreme elder was very glad. "But if I marry Wu Yong, I might not be able to control him. He is a rank 8 Gu immortal, he even has authority over the entirety of Wu clan." Xiao Si Lu hesitated. "Not with him." Qiao clan's first supreme elder smiled. "Then who else?" Xiao Si Lu was visibly confused. "Wu Yi. Wu Yi. That's right, he approached us a few days ago." 7 days later. Wu clan held a grand funeral on Divine Wind Mountain. All the righteous path forces, as well as many lone immortal experts, even certain special demonic path Gu immortals were invited for the funeral. In front of everyone's eyes, Wu Yong suddenly erupted, "Men, take down this traitor of the clan." "What?" Su Tua was shocked, he wanted to resist but it was too late. "Master, what are you doing? I am your most loyal and dedicated servant." Su Tua screamed loudly. "Hee." Wu Yong chuckled, he pointed at Su Tua as he shouted, "You are a loyal and dedicated servant indeed, Su Tua. To think I trusted you so deeply, yet you harmed me, leaking the travel route of my brother, and causing countless fiends to attack him. My poor brother, I have not even met him, but he was already killed by you bunch of evil fiends. Saying this, Wu Yong sighed at the sky, tears flowing down his face. Su Tuo looked on, dumbfounded. The shock inside him could not be expressed with words. He wanted to deny it, but Wu Yong tossed out a bunch of evidence. The evidence could not be overturned. Su Tuo had no way of rebutting. He realized now that Wu Yong had found out his identity long ago. He endured all this while, until today. Wu Yong made use of him to exterminate his brother Wu Yihai, and also fully obtaining the inheritance. He became Wu clan's first supreme elder, and shattered all of the rumors regarding him on this very day. Su Tuo was the sacrificial pawn that he discarded. Today, I will win everything. Wu Yong laughed in his mind, but he pointed at Su Tuo, ordering, drag him away. The righteous path representatives were uneasy, even those demonic path and lone immortals showed shock on their faces. Wu Yong looked around, feeling extremely satisfied. But just as he was about to speak, Xiao clan's first supreme elder stood up. I have good news for Lord Wu Yong. Your brother Wu Yihai did not die. Not only did he survive, he has arrived here with the help of my Xiao clan. What? If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 12:19, Fang Yuan vs. Wu Yong. Chapter 12:19, Fang Yuan vs. Wu Yong. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Fang Yuan took large strides, walking out of the group of Xiao clan Gu immortals. At once, everyone's focus was gathered on him. Fang Yuan instantly became the center of attention. Seeing his face, multiple supreme elders of Wu clan gasped, they are really alike. Fang Yuan's appearance, no, Wu Yihai's appearance, was very similar to his birth mother Wu Duxiu. This was an undeniable point. It was Fang Yuan's advantage. Wu Yong was different. He resembled his father. He had complementing eyes and brows. He looked very ordinary. He had a natural unremarkable aura. But Wu Yihai was different. He was handsome and muscular. He stood out from the crowd like a spear stabbing at the sky. Even though he lived in Eastern Sea, his traits were very similar to Wu clan Gu immortals, especially his nose. It was wide and tall. At a glance, people could tell that this person was very extraordinary. He had a firm personality and could not be looked down upon. Of course, the reason why Fang Yuan could give off such an impression was highly attributed to his appearance. The real Wu Yihai did not have the traits of a Wu clansman. Rank 8 Immortal Killer Move, Familiar Face. Thieving Heaven Demon Venerable's signature method, it was displaying its worth right now. All of these Gu immortals were deceived. None of them could tell that Fang Yuan was an impostor. The truth was, even Wu clan's Gu immortals were seeing Wu Yihai for the first time. Undoubtedly, Fang Yuan's prior preparation and hard work was rewarded now. When Wu clan's Gu immortals looked at him, they held some good feelings towards him. Because Wu Yihai looked like Wu Duxiu. Wu Duxiu was not beautiful. She had features that suited a man. If she were a male, she would be a grand hero that could rival heaven. Wu Yihai bore 70% resemblance to her. Wu Duxiu died. Wu clan was in a commotion. The clan's Gu immortals were all in remembrance of Wu Duxiu's achievements and glory. After all, humans were like this. They did not feel much attachment towards people when they were still alive, but the moment they were gone, they would want to cherish and appreciate them. Fang Yuan appeared at this juncture. It made good use of the immortal's mental state. Of course, this was part of Fang Yuan's calculations. Alike, they really look alike. Even other clans' Gu immortals were sighing. Fang Yuan sensed sharply that the gazes on him were changing slowly. In the 500 years of his previous life, he did not have the achievement of high cultivation level, but he had gone through 500 years of life. He had nurtured an unfathomably deep ability to observe situations, and an acute perception towards the changes of emotions in the Gu immortals near him. He sensed that the gazes of Wu clan's Gu immortals were welcoming, while Wu Yong's gaze carried animosity in it. Wu Yong was indeed shocked. Fang Yuan had disguised as Wu Yihai and appeared. this greatly affected his plans and arrangements. What made Wu Yong alarmed was that Fang Yuan and Xiao Clan's Gu immortals were together. He felt a sense of wariness. The truth was, Wu Yong hated this younger brother of his in the deepest part of his heart. Even though both sides were meeting for the first time, Wu Yong did not like Fang Yuan at first sight. Because Wu Yihai looked too much like his mother Wu Duxiu. So many years. Wu Yong had followed by Wu Duxiu's side, growing under her protection. Wu Duxiu was a giant tree. The leaves of the tree protected the entirety of Wu clan, including Wu Yong himself. Wu Yong felt like he was constantly lowering his head. The shade of the tree was a type of shadow that loomed over his life. He was Wu Duxiu's son, but do not forget, he was a man. Men naturally sought strength, having an intense desire towards authority. But all along, Wu Yong was under Wu Duxiu's shadow. Her strength, her abilities, as well as her identity. Wu Yong could not resist her. He had to lower his head. Wu Duxiu passed away. Wu Yong was naturally very upset and grieved, but at the same time, unavoidably, he felt freedom, he felt joy. This joy was something that Wu Yong did not dare to admit he felt. But now, when Wu Yong saw this Wu Yihai who resembled Wu Duxiu, he unavoidably felt some feelings of dislike. Fang Yuan sensed Wu Yong's ill intent and animosity, even though he disguised himself well. Fang Yuan knew on the inside, the first step of showing myself succeeded, but the second step of interacting with Wu clan and getting them to acknowledge me is the crucial one. Being accepted by Wu clan means getting Wu Yong, this rank 8 Gu immortal, the first supreme elder of Wu clan's acknowledgement. Thus, when Fang Yuan stepped into the limelight, he bowed deeply towards Wu Yong. Wu Yihai pays respects to elder brother. Wu Yong had an agitated but hesitant expression. Are you really my brother Yihai? Alike, you really look like mother, except that your eyes are blue. We don't usually have that eye color in southern border. That sentence had deep meaning. Wu Yong did not directly acknowledge Fang Yuan's identity. Instead, he pointed out the Eastern Sea Gu immortal identity of Wu Yihai, seemingly unintentionally. Fang Yuan answered solemnly, reporting to brother, I had black eyes before, but some accidents occurred when I cultivated transformation path. Right now, I returned due to mother's arrangement. Unfortunately, I met with many attacks along the way. Uncle Zhang and brother Leng, who traveled with me, died on the battlefield while protecting me as I escaped. Both Zhang and Leng were simply attendants of my mother, but they made great contributions to Wu clan. Pass my orders, we will give them a grand burial, according to the rules of how we treat external supreme elders. Their descendants will also be taken care of, and be treated as equals in our Wu clan. Wu Yong instructed. The supreme elders quickly responded. Fang Yuan heard this and snickered internally. This Wu Yong refused to give up any chance to show off his wise image, but hearing his words, he did not accept Fang Yuan's identity. He avoided the important topic, taking about Zhang and Leng and ignoring the important point, his brother Wu Yihai. Wu Yong ignored this part, but Fang Yuan was not helpless. This could not stop him. Fang Yuan bowed as he said, I hope brother can allow me to pay respects to our mother. Wu Yong's brows tightened. Fang Yuan's words were very logical. As a son, his mother had passed away, how could he not pay respects to her? This was an extremely reasonable request, especially in a clan system where bloodline was crucial in maintaining relationships. Even Wu Yong could not stop him. If he said no, outsiders would react badly to it. His new image that had been painstakingly created would be completely ruined. But if he did not refuse Fang Yuan's request, then that would mean that Wu clan was acknowledging Fang Yuan's identity, that he was a member of Wu clan. As a matter of fact, Wu Yong did not want that. Wu Yong disliked Wu Yihai's appearance. Wu Yihai's identity was a headache to Wu Yong. Wu Yihai came here with Xiao clan. It was a huge warning to Wu Yong. This Wu Yihai should go back to where he came from. Isn't he an Eastern Sea Gu immortal? Then let him develop in Eastern Sea, even if I have to spend some resources to get him to leave. This was the best result for Wu Yong. In fact, Fang Yuan's performance and the Qiao clan Gu immortal's testament made Wu Yong not suspicious towards Fang Yuan's true identity. Wait, what if I get rid of this Wu Yihai? I could not do it earlier because mother was around. But now, I am first supreme elder, this is my territory, in time, I will gain control of the clan, I can make arrangements in secret and execute him, wouldn't that end my troubles? Even if he is in Eastern Sea, it is a problem. If he is not in Eastern Sea and stays in Southern border, the problem is even bigger. I might as well agree to his current request. Eventually, I can go through some arrangements and demonstrate him to be a fake, I will be able to openly get rid of him. Thinking of this, Wu Yong felt intense killing intent surging in him. He was about to speak, and directly agree to Fang Yuan's request, when suddenly, a supreme elder of Wu clan said, "Pardon me, but is everyone forgetting to confirm second young master Wu Yihai's identity? I am not suspecting him, or suspecting anyone from Qiao clan, but for him to come back to the clan, that is a necessary procedure." Wu Yong heard this and his brows tightened again. He looked at the Wu clan Gu immortal who spoke deeply, it was Wu clan's third supreme elder, Wu Qiao. 1. The gazes of Fang Yuan and Qiao clan's first supreme elder met secretly, he thought, it was right to contact Qiao clan, but I did not think that Qiao clan had infiltrated Wu clan so deeply, reaching up to the third supreme elder, Wu Qiao. Qiao clan's first supreme elder looked at Fang Yuan, thinking about the scene in which they schemed and collaborated. As long as I appeared during the funeral, Wu Yong would be in a passive position. Even as a rank 8 Gu immortal who can easily kill me with his strength, he cannot do anything to me there. He. Fang Yuan laughed as he continued, he will not attack or kill me. Because he is Wu clan's first supreme elder, he is not a lone cultivator or a demonic cultivator. By then, if I request to pay respects to our mother, what can Wu Yong do to stop me? Ha, brilliant, truly brilliant. Qiao clan's first supreme elder gave a thumbs up, privately acknowledging your heritage is too dangerous. If we do this, it is brilliant, even if Wu Yong disagrees, what can he do? Fang Yuan said seriously, thus, we must undergo the acknowledgement during the funeral. If we miss this chance, it will be difficult. Not only would the risks be higher, Wu Yong would not even give us any opportunity. Don't worry, by then, I will speak up and suggest this. Qiao clan's first supreme elder smiled. No. Fang Yuan shook his head, it is unsuitable for you to suggest it, you are an outsider, how can you interfere in Wu clan's business? Qiao clan's first supreme elder fell into silence. Fang Yuan's words directly addressed his biggest concern. This was a huge problem he was facing. If this was not solved, he could not cooperate with Wu Yihai. Fang Yuan's arms were behind his back, he raised his head and looked outside the window, therefore, I need a supreme elder from Wu clan, he can openly suggest this, and steer the situation towards the heritage acknowledgement. Qiao clan's first supreme elder was a bit troubled, this. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1220, Presence in Southern Border. Chapter 1220, Presence in Southern Border. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Fang Yuan continued to say, this supreme elder should have some status, and he needs to have a firm attitude. Because during this period, Wu Yong is likely to side with me, acting as if I am already confirmed to be his brother to deny this suggestion. Thus, the person we choose needs to be able to stand the pressure of a rank 8 Gu immortal. Qiao clan's first supreme elder shrugged, this is too difficult. After all, Wu Yong is not only a rank 8 Gu immortal, he is also Wu clan's first supreme elder, he inherited Wu Duxiu's immortal Gu. Fang Yuan did not even turn around, he still looked outside. His words turned cold and firm, don't tell me Qiao clan does not have such a person. If you don't, why do you have ambitions towards Wu clan? Just give up and sleep, you might have more success in your dreams. I, Wu Yihai, will not cooperate with such a clan. Qiao clan's first supreme elder was slightly stunned, he assessed Fang Yuan again. From his angle, he could only see Fang Yuan's side view. Outside the window, the rays of the setting sun shone on Fang Yuan's face, like a layer of blood. Fang Yuan's expression was firm like steel, his blue eyes were brimming with life. This man, interesting. As expected of Wu Du Xiu's son. Xiao clan's first supreme elder sighed to himself internally, before agreeing, we will go with your idea. Wu Du Xiu's illegitimate son from Eastern Sea, Wu Yihai, had appeared, wanting to pay respects to his mother. All of the Gu immortals from different forces watched quietly without interfering. After all, these were Wu clan's internal affairs. Among them, many Gu immortals could see some things beyond the surface. But when Wu clan's third supreme elder, Wu Qiao, spoke, multiple gazes landed on him. Wu Qiao seemed unfazed, showing an attitude of being impartial and upright. He was Wu clan's third supreme elder. Xiao clan could infiltrate Wu clan to this extent, Fang Yuan was shocked. Of course, he was one of the parties involved, he knew more and had clearer judgment. People not in the know, without knowing the reasons behind this, would not be able to tell what Wu Qiao's stance was. Was he siding with Wu clan or Xiao clan? Even though Wu Yong noticed this possibility, he could not ascertain the facts. Wu Yong spoke, all right, we will hold the acknowledgement of my brother's heritage here at my mother's funeral. I am sure that my mother would be very glad to see this happen. He did not rebuke them, he directly agreed to it. Fang Yuan looked at Wu Yong deeply, this person was not simple. Xiao clan's first supreme elder was also slightly surprised by Wu Yong's reaction, his evaluation of Wu Yong rose by a level. Evidently, Wu Yong had noticed that he could not stop Fang Yuan from the acknowledgement of his heritage. If he continued to reject it, he would lose his reputation and image, he might as well agree and allow this matter. All of the immortals here can bear witness to it, bring the immortal Gu. Third Supreme Elder Wu Qiao stood up, he needed to be the host of this event, to prevent Wu Yong and the rest from tampering with it. Soon, Wu clan brought the immortal Gu. Wu Qiao stood before Fang Yuan, holding an immortal Gu in his hand, saying, this is a rank 7 blood path immortal Gu, bloodline, my Wu clan obtained it from killing a blood path demonic immortal, it is our trophy of victory, it can be used to certify second young master's identity. As he said this, the Gu immortals present internally rolled their eyes. Blood path was not tolerated, it was too dangerous. But the truth was, every righteous path force was secretly researching it. Because blood path could increase one's battle strength the quickest. Evidently, this bloodline immortal Gu was the product of Wu clan's research, but they called it their loot from battle. Second young master, please provide a drop of blood. Wu Qiao said. Fang Yuan was tense. It was a rank 7 blood path immortal Gu. This was out of his expectations. A drop of blood was different from examining his body, it was hard to tamper with. Under everyone's supervision, Fang Yuan followed what he said and squeezed out a drop of blood to Wu Qiao. Wu Qiao used the immortal Gu and aimed towards the blood in his hand, as a dark red light shone. There were no issues. Fang Yuan let out a sigh of relief. Thankfully, blood asset immortal Gu recovered, and I added it into familiar face to disguise my bloodline. Last time, I deceived measures in He Fan's true inheritance, while this time, I got past the rank 7 blood path immortal Gu bloodline. Thankfully, it was only rank 7, if it were rank 8, he might not be able to deceive it. Fang Yuan was quite lucky in this aspect. Of course, Wu clan was not going to be so wasteful as to raise a blood path immortal Gu to rank 8. Refining a rank 8 immortal Gu had too high of a cost, it could dry up a super force's assets without assurance of success. But this was not all. Next, Wu Qiao asked Fang Yuan many crucial questions. Some of these questions, Fang Yuan knew the answers, while some he did not, he answered honestly. Among the questions, some were traps, events that had never happened were used to trick him. But Fang Yuan had searched Wu Yihai's soul, he could deal with these questions. The true danger was the rank 7 immortal Gu bloodline. He had already passed that. There was little difficulty left. Hundreds of questions were asked. Wu Qiao was still expressionless. But the other Wu clan supreme elders nodded. Some of them were smiling, looking at Fang Yuan, showing that he had already passed the test. Actually, we also had to inspect your soul and bones, but Lady Wu Duxiu has passed away. We will skip that. Wu Qiao said, making Fang Yuan feel extremely glad. Thankfully, he was not greedy regarding those rank 8 immortal Gu. If he was questioned by her in person, his soul path and bone path methods were not impressive. There was a high chance of him showing a flaw. I heard that when Wu Duxiu died, her body turned into specks of light. None of her body remained. Even her hair and other things left behind had dissipated as well. She really died completely without leaving a trace. It is a good death. Fang Yuan was overjoyed at his luck. Next, Wu Qiao reported his findings to Wu Yong. Needless to say, everyone had already seen the result. Wu Yong nodded, while the other Wu clan supreme elders also agreed. Thus, Wu Qiao took out Life Tablet Gu and Soul Lantern Gu, asking Fang Yuan to refine them. These Gu worms would be left in Wu clan's ancestral hall. They were the symbol of Fang Yuan's acknowledgement into the clan. After all this, Fang Yuan had finally used Wu Yihai's identity to step into Southern Border's Gu immortal world. After paying respects to Wu Duxiu, Fang Yuan cried profusely, showing off a fantastic performance with incredible acting. As it was now Wu Duxiu's funeral, Wu clan could not hold a banquet. But after the ceremony ended, Fang Yuan interacted with many Wu clan Gu immortals. Even though they only drank tea and talked for a while, Fang Yuan benefited greatly. Of course, Gu immortals asked to spar with Fang Yuan, but he rejected them all. His status was very high now. He had rank 7 cultivation level. He was the brother of Wu clan's first supreme elder, the rank 8 Gu immortal Wu Yong. Even though these brothers were of separate minds, on the surface, it seemed that their bloodline bonded them together. 7 days later, the funeral ended. Fang Yuan stood beside the Wu clan Gu immortals, sending off the guests who came, like he was an important part of the clan. These southern border Gu immortals remembered Fang Yuan well. Many of them listed him as someone they could not trifle with, not because of Fang Yuan's cultivation level, but because he was blood related to Wu Yong. Wu Yihai's name spread in southern border. Even though it could not be said that everyone knew about it, he was not far off. 3 days later. Dawn, the sun rose slowly in the sky. Fang Yuan was standing on the peak of Bear Mountain, quietly looking at the beautiful sunrise. After the acknowledgement of his heritage, he was assigned by Wu clan to live on this Bear Mountain. This was not within the Blessed Land serving as Wu clan's base. Fang Yuan claimed that he wanted to live outside as well. Bear Mountain was a well-known place. There were large numbers of wild beasts on this mountain. All sorts of bears were living here. Wu clan directly gave this mountain to Fang Yuan. From now on, this was Wu Yihai's territory. But Wu clan did not assign Fang Yuan any relevant roles. Wu clan's Gu immortals were all supreme elders. Wu Yong was the first supreme elder, followed by the second supreme elder, third supreme elder, and so on. They had different positions, and differing authority and power. In this aspect, Qiao clan's first supreme elder was very anxious and concerned about it. Because Qiao clan helped Fang Yuan in order to get him to become an authoritative figure among the higher-ups of Wu clan. So that he could contest for Qiao clan's benefits. For this purpose, Qiao clan needed Fang Yuan to gain more power in Wu clan. That way, he could speak up for Qiao clan and make firm decisions. Qiao clan's help was not for free. Fang Yuan had already made alliance agreements with Qiao clan's first supreme elder secretly. But Fang Yuan was not in a rush. He pretended to look at the sunrise, but he was actually thinking about the giant dream realm. He had already obtained his righteous path identity. How could he enter the Super Gu formation openly now, and use the giant dream realm to raise his attainment level? Fang Yuan was thinking of this problem, when an information path immortal Gu flew towards him, bringing Wu Yong's summons. Right now, Fang Yuan had perfectly assimilated into the clan. The process was seen by countless Gu immortals in southern border. Wu Yong could not harm his life anymore. The ship had set sail. It was far too late now. Especially when he was inside Wu clan's territory, Wu Yong needed to protect this younger brother of his. Fang Yuan followed the instructions of the information path Immortal Gu and met with Wu Yong in a hall. Wu Yong said, "You are my younger brother, you have just returned to the clan. According to our clan rules, every newly advanced rank 6 Gu immortal may pick a rank 6 immortal Gu. After becoming rank 7, they may pick a rank 7 immortal Gu. Bring along this information path Immortal Gu with you and go to the clan's treasury to choose your 2 immortal Gu. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible."